The Ready First Combat Team. 1st Brigade of the last standing armored division in the United States Army. Garrisoned at Fort Bliss, Texas, Ready First is at the forefront of the Army's transformation as one of its newest heavy brigade combat teams. This new-build brigade, situated on Biggs Army Airfield, has some of the most state-of-the-art facilities in the Defense Department. The prestigious history of 1st Brigade began on 1 January 1942 with the activation of Combat Command A, 1st Armored Division at Fort Knox, Kentucky. In December 1942, Combat Command A and the division headquarters joined Combat Command B in North Africa. Ready First fought throughout the Tunisian campaign and was involved in the particularly bitter fighting around Kasserine Pass. When the 1st Armored Division moved to Italy, Ready First fought initially in the area of Naples and later at the Anzio beachhead, where it remained until the breakout in May 1944. Ready First led the breakout from the beachhead and for the rest of the war fought its way up the Italian peninsula, sharing all the hardships of mountain combat, which at times forced its tankers to fight as infantry. Headquarters Combat Command A was converted and redesignated on 1 May 1946 as Headquarters and Headquarters Troop, 3rd Constabulary Regiment, and relieved from assignment to the 1st Armored Division. It was inactivated on 20 September 1947 in Germany. The 1st Armored Division as a whole was reactivated in 1951 at Fort Hood, Texas. Combat Command A was reorganized and redesignated on 3 February 1962 as Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 1st Brigade, 1st Armored Division. On 16 August 1991, 1st Brigade, 3rd Armored Division, having returned from Operation Desert Storm, was reflagged as 1st Brigade, 1st Armored Division. This reflagging was part of an initial drawdown of U.S. forces in Europe, which saw the inactivation of the 3rd Armored Division. While officially known as the Forerunners, the reflagged brigade adopted the nickname of 1st Brigade 3rd Armored, the Ready First Combat Team. In 1996, Ready First was called upon again when it was sent to conduct peacekeeping operations in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and upon returning, deployed an additional task force for peacekeeping operations in Macedonia. In May 2000, the Ready First Combat Team was called upon to deploy to what was at the time the Serbian province of Kosovo to conduct peacekeeping operations, and returned home in December 2000 after a successful completion of that mission. As 2001 began, the brigade once again focused on training and preparation for any mission. This focused confidence, however, was soon shattered by the horrendous terrorist attacks of 9/11. Following the attacks, Ready First quickly focused on improving and providing base and operational security in the event of attacks in Europe. Early in 2003, concerns over the threat of Saddam Hussein and his rogue army resulted in a plan to invade Iraq and help free the Iraqi people from his tyranny. Old Ironsides was soon alerted for deployment with 5 Corps in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Ready First completed its movement to Iraq on May 20th and was initially attached to the 3rd Infantry Division. Soon Task Force Iron was formed with the division at its core and numerous brigade combat teams assigned to build a force of some 37,000 troops. Ready First was a key element for the task force and completed many reconnaissance, cordon and patrol, and relief missions in the Adamiyah and Fallujah areas, and assisted with the training of Iraqi security personnel. With a planned return to Germany in sight, the entire 1st Armored Division was notified of a deployment extension in April. This 3-month extension was needed to crush an uprising of militiamen dedicated to radical Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. In a grab for power, Sadr attempted to take over a series of Iraqi governing institutions in cities throughout Iraq. In early April, Ready First fought a series of engagements with these militia forces in southeast Baghdad. Simultaneous to these operations against Muqtada's militia in Baghdad, Ready First received the order to send combat power to reinforce Multinational Division Center South in the Karbala area, where Sadr's forces posed a much more serious threat. During the extension campaign, soldiers of Ready First overwhelmed and demolished the militia, and for its heroic actions was awarded a Presidential Unit Citation. Ready First returned to Germany during the summer of 2004 and set about the task of reintegration and reset. Less than a year later, the 1st Brigade, along with the entire 1st Armored Division, was declared combat ready to 5 Corps. The brigade cased its colors in January 2006 for Iraq. Initially, Ready First was located around Tal Afar, and in May was ordered to replace the unit in charge of A.R. Ramadi. In September, it was announced that 1st Brigade would again be extended, this time for 46 days beyond their original tasking. Throughout the next 9 months, the combat team fought with terrorist cells and foreign fighters determined to keep Ramadi the most dangerous city in the world. Leaving Iraq a safer and freer country, Ready First returned in the spring of 2007. For its decisive efforts and contribution to the Anbar awakening, Ready First holds the rare distinction of being one of few U.S. Army units awarded the Navy Unit Citation. As part of the Army Transformation Plan, Ready First was directed to inactivate and depart Germany for a future home at Fort Bliss, Texas. Attention was immediately given to the drawdown and culminated with a casing of the colors ceremony on April 20th at the Ray Barracks Parade Field in Friedberg, Germany. The newly reorganized 1st Heavy Brigade Combat Team 1st Armored Division formally reactivated October 27, 2008. Concentrating on building this new brigade, the soldiers of Ready First received and trained on the most advanced combat systems in the Army. Shortly after activation, Ready First received orders to prepare for a deployment to Kirkuk, Iraq, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The Ready First combat team redoubled its efforts, training and developing its soldiers for the unique environment it would face in Kirkuk. Completing its National Training Center rotation in September as an MRAP-equipped motorized brigade combat team, the brigade found some of its soldiers deploying less than 30 days after they returned from Fort Irwin. Ready First formally cased its colors on November 10th and began moving its soldiers to the CENTCOM area of responsibility. Once deployed, 136 Infantry was detached from the brigade and sent to Mosul in the Nineveh province. Upon arrival in Kirkuk, Ready First gained 1st Battalion 30th Infantry Regiment, which was already operating in Kirkuk City. The Ready First combat team formally relieved 2nd Brigade 1st Cavalry Division on December 19, 2009. The Kirkuk province, an area roughly the size of Rhode Island, is home to approximately 900,000 residents, representing the full diversity of ethnicities and religious groups within Iraq. Long considered a potential powder keg due to historic ethnic tensions, the province contains 4% of the world's oil reserves. Ready First soldiers quickly adjusted to the unique challenges of the region and continued to develop the trust and cooperation built by its predecessors over the previous 7 years. Along military lines, the Ready First combat team partnered with the 12th Iraqi Army Division, as well as the 1st Kurdish Regional Guard Brigade. This relationship would evolve in line with the responsible drawdown of forces, and in July, the relationship changed from one of partnership to an advise, train, and assist relationship. One strategic success that cannot be overlooked was the establishment of the Combined Security Force by 1st Battalion 30th Infantry. The CSF, a security company composed of Iraqi Army, Iraqi Police, Kurdish Regional Guard, and American infantrymen, is fully integrated down to the fire team level. The CSF defied many critics by quickly becoming a well-trained and highly effective force that reduced insurgent activities throughout the combined security area. The bandits of 1st Battalion 37th Armor Regiment occupied Joint Security Station McHenry, adjacent to the volatile town of Hawija, and continued to improve security and infrastructure of this town. The Blackhawks of 6th Squadron 1st Cavalry Regiment conducted combat and stability operations throughout the Rashad Valley, improving the lives of the residents and denying enemy forces sanctuary in the southern expanse of AO Ready. The gunners of 2nd Battalion 3rd Field Artillery Regiment were critical in maintaining overwatch on the Kurdish region in the northeast of Kirkuk and partnered with the Kurdish Regional Guards. While the maneuver battalions conducted combat and stability operations, the providers of the 501st Brigade Support Battalion assured all equipment was kept in fighting shape. The 1st Special Troops Battalion likewise assumed an essential role and provided enabler support, including Shadow UAS, Signal, Combat Engineer Route Clearance, and assumed command and control of FOB Warrior as the U.S. Air Force redeployed. Working hand in hand with partners from the State Department's Provincial Reconstruction Team, the Ready First Combat Team saw its greatest strategic success of the deployment during the March 2010 Iraqi parliamentary elections. Hundreds of polling sites across the province were secured by Iraqi forces, and Election Day passed peacefully with no significant incidents, and with Iraqis clearly in the lead and Ready First in a supporting role. As a testament to the readiness of Iraqi forces, the elections proved to be extremely successful with a high rate of voter turnout. The Ready First combat team will pass this brilliant legacy on to 1st Brigade 1st Infantry Division when it transfers authority in November of 2010. Slated for redeployment to Fort Bliss, Texas that same month, Ready First will then reset and begin transforming into the Army's 8th and newest Stryker Brigade combat team. This transformation will begin with the deactivation of 1st Battalion 37th Armor Regiment and the Brigade's 1st Special Troops Battalion. It will in turn see the activation of 4th Battalion 17th Infantry Regiment and 3rd Battalion 41st Infantry. Through this conversion, the Ready First will expand in strength to roughly 4,000 soldiers as the formation begins the next chapter in its storied history. Since its inception, the Ready First combat team has proven itself to be a decisive force, whether in combat, stability, or peacekeeping operations. When Ready First is committed to the field, success is guaranteed. Iron soldiers of the Ready First combat team, past and present, are part of a rich heritage and history. With the Stryker conversion of 1st Brigade, the 1st Armored Division continues a rich tradition begun almost 70 years ago. To the men and women of the Association of the 1st Armored Division, know that your legacy is in good hands. Ready First, Iron Soldiers.